What's up, gamer? The Foxy and Mommy Feixiao is here, and you want to know, is she worth pulling? Is she better than Acheron? Do you have the correct units on your account to even consider pulling for? So in today's video, gamers, we're going to be going over why you shouldn't be pulling for Feixiao, or maybe why you should be pulling for Feixiao. Alright, gamers, so let's go ahead and talk about the number one thing that you should be looking at before even talking about pulling Feixiao. What does your account look like? Do you have follow-up units? That is the main thing that you should be looking at before you spend any jades on this banner at all, because this can determine how good your Feixiao is going to be and how viable she's going to be on team comps, because like Acheron, that's really good with debuff related comps, she is really good with follow-up comps. The less follow-up characters you have in your account, and less good ones you have at that, the less she is going to perform, the worse she's going to perform. And while no, she doesn't give herself buffs based off of having other follow-up characters on the team like Acheron does with Inhility characters, she does rely solely off of how many times you're able to actually hit the enemy with an attack. Because if we take a look at her ult right here, she can activate the ult when she gets 6 points of flying Arceus, or Arius, whatever it's called, and you're going to be getting 1 point of flying Arius for every 2 attacks by allied targets. And their summon and or follow-up attack goes off. This means that she is getting extra stacks. So if you have a full team comprised of characters that just attack one time and have nothing outside of that, you're really not offering her much value, because you're not going to have a very fast uptime on her ultimate if you're just waiting for everyone to go. I mean, the first 2 characters, sure, you get 1 free stack from each character as long as you're using her skill and you're using an attack from the second character, but whenever you get to that 3rd and 4th character, it's only 1 stack, when if you had follow-up characters on the team, that could turn into 2 stacks, potentially 3 stacks, depending on the situation. So it really is going to depend on what characters you have on your account. And while we're on the topic of characters, I think one of these 3 characters here, either Topaz, Newbie, Adventurine, or Robin, are going to have a must-have. You have to have at least one of these characters on your account to really make sure she's being viable. If I were to give them a ranking, I would say Topaz, Newbie number 1, Robin number 2, and then Adventurine number 3 here. I know some people will probably say that Robin's number 1 here, but I just disagree with that. I don't think Robin's number 1. I think Topaz Newbie is number 1 for the fact that we're getting 50% vulnerability. Her and Newbie attack so frequently that you're able to get, like, supercharge the ultimate you're getting up, that you're just supercharging her ultimate up that much faster. Now, I get it, right? I get why Robin's down here, right? Robin advances for the whole team. She gives, what, a 46% crit rate buff, though arguably the 50% vulnerability is a bit better on that, in my opinion, there, than crit damage buff, because of where the vulnerability multiplier stacks up at. And considering how Feixiao's ultimate is considered a follow-up attack, I think it's just bar none. Topaz Newbie number 1, this number 2, this number 3. But the reason I say you need one of these characters is because she kind of needs to be carried in a way to get her ultimate back up really fast, so she's able to get like large amounts of damage out, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video when I do my comparisons with Acheron. And the reason you need a high ult uptime with her is because, first of all, that's where the main majority of her damage is coming from. On top of that, though, her ultimate attacks single target. It's not AoE oriented like Acheron's ult, so that means you hit one enemy, you kill them, it's donezo. You have to charge up another ult again. And then not only that, yes, while it only takes 6 charges to get her ult up, you theoretically have to hit the enemy 12 times, which is more than the 9 times you have to get guaranteed hit with debuffs with Acheron. So overall, you're having to hit the enemies more times, which means if you're not running decent units on the team, like one of these 3 here, this ult is going to be a lot harder to obtain than something like this is right here. If you have someone like Topaz and Newbie, if you have someone like Adventurine that can hit multiple times off turn and then get a guaranteed hit on turn, then it's technically working less to get this ultimate than it would take for Acheron. But all in all, if you don't have one of these 3 characters, you're going to be working a lot harder for this ult than you would for Acheron's ult. And also, another reason why these 3 characters are here, guys, vulnerability, crit damage, attack, damage increase, they are all going to be buffing her follow-up attacks in some way, so they do act as a buffer on the team, so you can slot in maybe a more versatile buffer. Like if you're running all 3, this is her best in slot team right here. Like all 3 of these combine her best in slot team, but if you look, each one of these characters do provide something. He provides 50% vulnerability with follow-ups. He provides 15% crit damage. She provides 45% crit damage, attack increase, damage increase, and action and advance forward. Like all of these play their own role on the team, but having just one of these will enhance her so much, because these 2 supercharged ult and buff as well, while she just gives a fuck ton of buff. So all in all, if you have all these characters right here, I think she's a must pull for your account. I think she is going to tremendously skyrocket the potential of your account, because she just works so well with these characters, but not everyone has these characters. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the 4-star free to play options that you can run on this team. Gallagher, for example, right? The good thing with him is you can use basic attack, ult, basic attack. This will be giving her 1 1/2 points towards her ultimate move, so he can be a very viable option on the team because he hits so many times, which if we were to look at this mathematically, while yes, 1.5 points is lower than 2 points, if we're looking at it in the grand scheme of things of ultimate cost, with hers costing 6, this actually gives her 25% of her ultimate up by using this combo, with versus Acheron, which does give 2 points towards her ultimate, only gives around 22% worth of her ultimate move there. So arguably, he is a little bit better on this team just because of the fact that he's able to provide just a tad bit more to her move. Now let's go over here and hop into someone like Sushang. Sushang the exact same way as well, except she doesn't implant debuffs. The big thing with Sushang is she can do something like skill, ult, and skill again, because she gets her turn immediately after using her ult, so you get the same exact 25% ult with her as well when using this combo. Someone like March 7th, obviously we're going to be talking about Hunt March 7th and not this March 7th, this version here, but March 7th kind of works the same way. When you get 7 stacks, she does a follow-up attack. When you use an ultimate move, she gets enhanced basic attack, and she gets action and advanced forward again. I think if we're talking in terms of 4 stars, she is going to be first best in slot 4-star for completely free to play. Like, you just get here by doing stuff in the story and doing events, right? So this is a completely free to play character that you can get maxed out eidolons, everything like that for just by playing the game, right? So this is honestly a really good option to use. And Moze, I'm throwing Moze on here just because he's on the banner. I honestly don't think he works that well unless you're using her in a comp with 3 DPS on the team. And that goes back into the thing that I said earlier. With using Moze on the team, you really want Topaz on the team. Because if we're looking at what Moze does, Moze completely relies on allies attacking the enemy. But he is gone. Whenever you use his skill, he's off the field. He's not doing any additional attacks. So every time your ally attacks, he consumes 1 point of his charge. And after you consume 3 points, he does a follow-up attack. So if you don't have any other allies on the field that are actively attacking the enemy and doing fast attacks on the enemy, then he's going to be quite worthless on a team with her. I wish he was going to be better on the team for her, but he's literally worthless on a team with her if you don't run someone like a Topaz, in my opinion. So you realistically need someone like a Topaz on the team, or even a Yunli as well. I think Yunli could actually work very well because she does attack so frequently when she gets attacked anyway. So if you're against enemies that do attack frequently, I think you could run Moze, Yunli, Feixiao, and then whoever else you want to run, like a Robin or an Aventurine or something like that, right? So I think in those cases, he can help out, but I think it's more niche than these 3 characters here. But yeah, guys, these are realistically the free-to-play options that you can use. Not to say that you can't use Kafka. Kafka does have a follow-up attack, so technically, I guess you could say, you get multiple instances off with her as long as you're using a basic attack with someone else. So Kafka could also work on this team as well, but you're going to have to watch out for having dots because her damage might plummet. It might just be better to throw her on a dot team, but if you don't have a dot team, maybe you should have Kafka, maybe potential slot in there as well. I don't know. And then one more point I wanted to make here, guys, and really reiterate this: if you don't have follow-up characters on your team, I do kind of want to show what the ult timing is kind of going to look like on a normal rotation when you're not like having to re-up buffs and stuff like that, because it will get lower when you re-up buffs. So let's just take an average turn with a non-follow-up team, right? Let's start off with Feixiao, right? Feixiao automatically gets 2 because she's going to use skill, and then she gets an immediate follow-up attack right after that. So let's say Pela uses a basic attack. After using a basic attack, Feixiao will get another ultimate move. That's another one. Now she has her ult. She uses her ultimate move. She has 3 stacks right there. Let's go ahead and fill in another thing on the chart here. Ooh, now it's Fu Xuan's turn. Fu Xuan uses an attack. That is 1 charge there. Say she uses her ultimate. That's another charge there. That is another charge to the ultimate move. I have not forgotten this yet, guys. Now we come back around. Ooh, Miss Ruan Mei uses another basic attack here. Go ahead and mark that off there. Now we have 4 charges to our ultimate move, which leaves us after turn 1, we have 4 stacks of ultimates. So hey, we didn't get Feixiao's ultimate on her first little rotation around. That's fine though, because it's rotation number 2 now. So let's go ahead and put a line right here. Oh, Feixiao goes, that's an immediate charge there, right? Go ahead and add 1 extra charge there. Ooh, and then Pela comes back around. She uses another basic attack, right? Bam! Then she gets another follow-up attack. Bam, bam! Oh, that's another charge there. Now she has ult. So it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns in terms of like team turnage to get her ult. Now what I want to do is switch it over to the other team, the follow-up team, to see how much more or less productive that team is. So Feixiao goes, bam, bam, that's already 1 charge to our ultimate move there. Oh, Aventurine goes, that's 1 charge plus an additional charge there. Bam, bam. That is another free charge there. Oh, now he has his ultimate move. Let's say we're going to use the same logic, so they're going to have their ultimates up too. Bam, another charge there. So that's a free charge right there. Oh, now it's Topaz and Noombi's turn. What's she going to do? Basic attack. Oh, that's so cool. What happens when she basic attacks? She gets her ultimate move to enter Bonanza state, right? Oh, she uses a basic attack. That's 1 free charge right there. Let's say she goes ahead and activates her ultimate move too, right? So So that's another free charge that we're getting right there. So that's 3 charges up right now. She used her ultimate move. Oh, she's coming up to the action order now. Basic attack, bam! After using a basic attack here, Noombi's going to come around because Noombi's in Bonanza state. Bam! Oh, we got another free charge there from Noombi. So let's go ahead and mark that off there. So we're currently at 4 turns. We're actually not even using Robin's ult right now. Because why? Because before using Robin's ult, we want to try to supercharge Adventurine here, right? So we get an attack in. Bam! He does a follow-up attack here, right? So let's just go ahead and give him the extra one because he did a follow-up attack. And while that happened, while he was doing his little follow-up attack, Noombi's coming up in the action order. So we won't necessarily count that just yet. So let's just go ahead and put up our wall here because Robin just use your ultimate move, right? Bring everyone back to the front. Yippee! Free turn for everyone, basically, right? Because it resets everyone's action order down to 0 again. After resetting everyone's action order back down to 0 again, she's going to use her skill attack, which gives her a free follow-up attack, which gives us a free one there. And then look, Noombi's going to go, bam! Then we have her ultimate move up here. Let's continue. Okay, so now Adventurine goes again. Pop that one off. We have another charge there. But as you can see here, guys, we already have 1 extra charge than we had before using the other team. And keep in mind, this is not even accounting in for the free action value that we got here, which technically would make the cycle even less. I'm not even accounting in for that. So overall, this team is just going to be smacking Tin off the Pidgeot with getting her ultimate back up. And this is being super skill point efficient too. We could have used skill move right here on Topaz. Let's take it back here. Say we use skill move on Topaz here, right? Okay, that's immediate action. Noombi goes again, right? Okay, now we go ahead and activate her ultimate move, which puts us in Bonanza state. Then we go here with her, she does a basic attack, right? Oh, that's so cool. Let's go ahead and mark this one off here, this one off here. That is another free charge there. Now let's say we get attacked here again, like we mentioned before. So that's another free charge that Adventurine's going to be getting, not to mention Bonanza state's going to give us another charge there. So that means before we even get to this turn, all we need now is 1 skill, and we already have this back up without even going to the rest of the actions here, and that still counts in for action order here too. But that's the main point I'm trying to make here, right? The less of these characters you have, the less this team is going to perform. So that's why I took the majority of this video to stress that you want one of these 3 characters right here to really enhance your Feixiao's experience. So if you don't have this, her damage output is going to drastically drop down. Same thing with Acheron, guys. If you do not have the said inhility characters for Acheron or good inhility characters for Acheron, her damage drops significantly. Now I want to hop into the real debate here. Acheron versus Feixiao, right? What are the main differences here? First of all, number 1, how their stacks are actually obtained. It requires attacks out of your allies, so it's not hits per action. It is just attacking with the allies. So say someone hits 5 times with 1 action, it's only going to be counting as 1 attack for Feixiao, right? So let's just put ATKS, right? Because it's actually pretty similar with Acheron here too. She plays completely off of debuffs and not like debuffs per action. So if you put 3 debuffs on the enemy in 1 action, it only counts for 1 here. So let's just put debuff here. And as we mentioned before, Acheron needs 9 applications of debuff to get all 9 stacks of her ultimate move, which equals 100% of her ultimate move. While on the other hand, Feixiao is going to need 12 attacks from your allies to get 6 stacks to get her ultimate move. So this is going to equal 100% of her ultimate move. So arguably, if you want to put it pen to paper here, it is technically harder to get Feixiao's ultimate than it is to get Acheron's ultimate, but it depends, like I said, on the characters you have in your account. This could become easier or harder. And if we're just taking bar for bar, just using the characters solo on a team with like none of their best units, this is how they would look like. Now let's get into the personal buff section, because personal buffs is where there's a big difference as well. Feixiao, my god, she gives a huge personal buff, while Acheron, she relies on inhility characters to get this buff. If you don't have inhility characters on the team, you're missing out on 115 to 160% damage bonus by not having these characters on the team, right? With her, you don't need any follow-up characters on the team per se. She gives herself a lot of buffs. And if we're going to talk about her personal buffs, her ultimate damage counts as follow-up damage, and then she gives herself 36% crit damage for enacting a follow-up attack. And then when she uses a skill attack, she's going to be getting basically permanent uptime on a 48% attack buff for herself, which is a lot more self-sufficient, I would say, than Acheron is. But if we're looking at this in the grand scheme of things, arguably Acheron gives herself a bigger buff here in terms of what it actually does, but you have to have these characters on the team. You are required to have these characters on the team, while you can still technically run her on a separate team, and she can still work. She gives herself enough personal buffs to really self-sustain there too. Now, I would say the clear winner here is this, just because she doesn't going to require 1 to 2 agility characters on the team to actually proc this off here. Not to say that's hard or anything, but there is a harder prerequisite here to get this than it is to get this, so therefore I think this is better. Now let's talk about ultimate. She has a blast type ultimate move, guys, so this means she hits one main target and then hits the little side targets as well, right? So they do a little bit of damage on the side. Her is solo. She does all solo damage, so she just hits one big dick target right in the center. But the thing here, right, you can get a lot of overkill damage, right? So let's put overkill right here. Overkill damage. There is a lot of overkill damage that she's performing because after you've killed that enemy, you don't switch targets. With Acheron, even if you kill the main target, you'll swap her attack or focus to adjacent targets. So after this one's dead right here, she will then be targeting enemy here. Oh, there's another adjacent enemy. Maybe she kills this enemy. Oh, now we have the one enemy left. So you're able to focus more damage on multiple different targets. Versus Miss Feixiao here that's not able to. And what does this mean, right? I think that Feixiao definitely more structured toward game modes like Apocalyptic Shadow, right? So let's put APOC here, right? Whereas I think she's better towards pure fiction type game modes. Though the follow-up attacks here can actually help out a lot because she's able to attack more frequently. Maybe that's not as much of the case, but I do feel like she is better for APOC Shadow and she's better for pure fiction. So depends on really what you're struggling in there of what you would want to say, right? And then also the team viability and free-to-play options you have with both teams. As we mentioned before, we have a completely free-to-play March 7th that you can run here. While on the other hand, you can actually run Gwenifin and Palo on a team here. And honestly, I do think that team overall is better rather than someone, let's say like a March 7th and then like a, what's his name, Mose, right? So honestly, I think someone like Gwen plus Pela is probably better for an Acheron team. Plus with an Acheron team, if you run a preservation unit, you can run Trend's Light Cone and you can maybe finesse more ult charge out of her, but you do have to keep in mind it is a 9 charge versus the 6 charge. So if you have follow-up characters here, it's technically quicker to get her ult turnaround. These are just a lot of factors that you need to look into before pulling. If I were to say who is better all in all, I think it, like I said before, it really depends on your account. And that's really the main point I want to make here, guys. Look at your account. Do you have more strong debuffers on your account? Did you just pull Big J? Then maybe it's better to just wait for a rerun of Acheron and pull for Acheron, right? But do you have a lot of follow-up characters? Do you plan on pulling for Robin? Then maybe Feixiao is the better option here, right? I think both of these characters are going to be top tier DPS. I think they're both going to be tier 0 units. I think they both help out in a lot of different game modes and are going to be absolutely meta smashing meta carry units. So if you want my opinion on it, do I think that you should pull for Feixiao? I don't think any characters in the game is a must pull, but if you have a lot of follow-up characters ready, why not pull for her, right? I think she's going to help follow-up teams tremendously, especially if you like the follow-up playstyle. Same thing can be said for Acheron. If you have a lot of debuffers, good debuffers on your account, why not just say for Acheron, right? A lot of these units are similar, guys, and I know the main thing we went over today is like this account structure because that's what I think these teams are playing into. You need strong niches to actually take the full ability of these characters. I do think that Feixiao is more self-sufficient than Acheron is because she does rely on getting debuffs versus just actions with a team. So technically, you could use any character on a Feixiao team versus on an Acheron team, you can't really use any character. So I think universally, Feixiao is better than Acheron is, but I don't know. I think they're going to be pretty neck and neck in terms of the damage they do. I really do like the blast damage she provides, Acheron provides versus the solo target damage. But yeah, I think they'll be neck and neck. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know. Are you summoning for Feixiao or are you skipping Feixiao for Mommy Acheron or Ling Shaw or the new girl coming out later on down the line? I would love to know your thoughts. Anyways, gamers, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Maybe you enjoyed this new style of video where I just write shit down on a notepad. Maybe it kept your attention longer. Let me know in the comment section down below. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one later. Bye-bye.